Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for yet another daily talk of stock. And it is Friday, May 30th. So it is the last day of the week for trading, and it is the last trading day of the month as well. So May has been a very successful month, and we have seen the great recovery continue. So we know that in April, things were looking pretty ugly at the beginning during Liberation Day, but then we have seen this strong recovery, just like the markets look today. So we started this morning with a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. There were a lot of red candlesticks in a lot of different stocks, and then, of course, the major indexes as well. So on screen here, I have the SPY and the triple Qs, and we could see that in both major indexes, there was a drop off in the morning, but throughout the day, there was a swift recovery. So the markets bucked off what could be perceived as some bad news. And so that bad news came from the President Trump, and he said that 2 weeks ago that China was in grave economic danger. The very high tariffs that he set made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the United States marketplace, which is by far number one in the world. We went in effect cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw what was happening and didn't like it for them. Not for us. I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation, and I did not want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized, and China got back to business as usual. Everyone was happy. This is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So Trump not wanting to be Mr. Nice Guy. This Truth Social post was sent out earlier this morning, and so the markets did react with some fear. But as we could see, we did see a big, strong recovery through the day, just like we have been seeing through the last month and a half, because the markets, as of recently, have shooken off a lot of bad news. And so to start the year, of course, we had the nasty retraction from January through Liberation Day. And then recently we've had this big recovery. But as of this last week, we have seen some bad news, first with Moody's downgrading the United States credit rating. And then also we know as of just yesterday, there was a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the tariffs because the Supreme Court had blocked the tariffs, saying that they were unconstitutional and illegal. And then the appeals court, not even 24 hours later, said that no, it is okay, and they are back on the board. So some uncertainty around those tariffs, but overall the markets did shake that off. So both those events, the tariff event and then the credit rating event, neither of them really knocked the trend out of what we have been seeing, which is a very bullish trend. So the market not looking like it wants to give back the gains that it has made through April and May. And overall, investor sentiment is looking good. So we know just on Liberation Day, we were all the way at a number of 4 over at extreme fear, but now we are sitting at greed. So we were a couple points higher this month. Just about a week ago, we got all the way up to 69, but now we are at 62. So a couple points being knocked off on the fear and greed index, going closer to fear, but overall the markets are pushing forward. And so when we look at the major indexes, we are at a spot where there could be some continued bleeding in the markets, but again, the markets have been shaking off any bad news. So there could be bleeding when we look at the major indexes. On the RSI, we were recently overvalued. We have come down a bit. And then when we look at the MACD on both major indexes, we could see that the blue is right aligned with the orange. And so when the blue is above the orange, that signals strength and that we should see positive price movements, which we have seen recently. And then when the orange crosses over the blue, that shows when there is negative price action ahead. So with them being right aligned with each other, there is the possibility that we do see orange cross back over blue blue, and we do see negative movements ahead. But overall, the strong recovery, I believe, is going to continue because it is shaking off these bits of news that just a couple months ago would have sent stocks and the major indexes flying down. So I do believe that the strong recovery that we are seeing in the markets will continue. And so with that being said, we're going to continue what we do, which is talking about a lot of these plays which are related to computing and then also AI. We're actually going to start out with a stock that we have yet to talk about on this channel. So this is a first timer, and that is SMCI, Super Micro Computer. Then we're going to get into a different type of computer, which is quantum computing. Stock symbol being QBTS. Then we're going to get into sound with AI, Soundhound AI. Then we're going to finish with that big guy back there. That's right, Big Bear. And so we're going to start out here with the stock Super Micro Computer. And so this is a very interesting stock because this is one of those stocks that have been pretty high flying, a very interesting play in general. It was worth a lot more last year. We could see that at one point in 2024, set in March, this stock was up to $114, currently trading at $40. So when we look at the financials, we need to ask ourselves, why is this stock trading down? So we're going to look at the financials first and then get into a bit of news. So when we look at their financials, this company actually shows a lot of strength to me. We do see that they have a large market cap, so up to 23 billion. So this is no small company, and they do have a positive price to earnings ratio. So anytime you see a price to earnings around 20 to 25, this shows strong earnings, and this shows that the price to earnings that you are paying for is strong. Many times with a lot of stocks, we will see price to earnings ratios way out there. Palantir is one of them, where many investors are saying you are paying too much for Palantir because of their price to earnings ratio. So they look good there. They are a large market cap stock. And then also this company does earn a lot of revenue. So we could see here in the last year, 21 billion in revenue. Plus, they are a strong company in the net positive. So we can see that they have a very strong earnings per share, but we do see in the latest quarters that they have had a bit of a drop off. So just in the previous quarters, there has been a little bit of a drop off when it comes to revenue, but that's very short term because when we look at the overall pattern, the long history, we could see that dating back to Q3 2021, that this company has been on an overall growth pattern up. And so if you don't know what SMCI, what they do is they have a lot of data centers, and they also have a lot of building block solutions, as this says. So they have a lot of data centers, and then also they provide a lot of computers there as well. So they have the cloud, they have all their computers, they have liquid cooling, they have everything you need for these massive computers. So some massive warehouses. We could see included here some of what they do. So they have a lot when it comes to digital logistics. They have parts being replacement services, on-site integration services as well. So Super Micro Computer, a very big tech stock, and a lot of software here with a lot of infrastructure built out for what they do. So with their big warehouses and their big computers, this is definitely a real big company, and they have a lot of intrinsic value to them. And personally, I believe that Super Micro will only continue to grow over the years because of the intrinsic value that they have and because of what they offer with their data software solutions. So they have all that with the Super Micro computers, but a big reason why this stock was seeing a lot of fear last year was some bad news set with this stock last year. So personally, right now, I am not yet invested into SMCI, but I have had my eyes on SMCI, and I am just waiting for a little bit of a reversal, something to show that we could see a reversal of the nasty trend that we have been in over the last year. And so what set off this trend a lot was there was some bad news. A short selling firm went after Super Micro, said that they had some glaring red flags when it came to their accounting. And just a month after that, the Wall Street Journal said that there was the Department of Justice investigating Supermicro Computer. And so with that being said, there was all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then they did delay their 10K filing. And so there was all that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And then there was the possibility of Supermicro Computer being delisted off of the NASDAQ, which nearly happened. They just completed that report just in time. So that was earlier this year when we saw that pop around February. But since then, there has just been more continued bleeding in this stock. So in the short term, when we look at the technical indicators, we could see that we have this lowering level of resistance. And so we could see that over time, this stock, since its high, has tapped close to this level of resistance multiple times. But each time, even with the big pop in February, was rejected. And it looks like in the short term, we were rejected once again. So I do believe that in the short term, we may see a little bit more bleeding in Supermicro Computer. But myself, I am excited because I am yet to invest in the Supermicro Computer, but I do believe that this company has a lot of intrinsic value behind them, and they have already gotten past a lot of the NASDAQ fear, uncertainty, and doubt of being delisted. So a positive there, and at any time we could see a reversal on that trend. I will want to participate in SMCI. I am just waiting a bit longer because when we look at the technical indicators on the RSI, we are right in the middle, so not clear of the direction. And then when we look at the MACD, there is the possibility that we do see the death cross of the blue crossing over the orange. So myself, I am not yet in Supermicro Computer, but I could see myself adding to a position here soon. And so talking about big computing stocks, here's another computing stock, quantum computing, QBTS, and this is our favorite quantum computing stock. So D-Wave Quantum. We have been talking about this stock all year. And so with this stock, we were previously on this rising level of support and resistance. And then right at this spot here, we have seen a massive squeeze in QBTS. The reason for that being is because of this big earnings here. So at the end of Q4 2024, they reported that the first quarter for 2025, they were expected to reach a revenue of 10 million, which would be a 4x from any revenue, any quarter that they previously had when it came to revenue. So a big quarter, and this company blew that out of the water. They hit 15 million revenue. So a very positive quarter earnings for QBTS, and this stock in general has a lot of intrinsic value growing behind them. So not only did they have that positive quarter earnings report, but also as of recently, the momentum continued as D-Wave announced that they have made more advancements on their big Advantage 2 computer. And so D-Wave Quantum, the reason why we believe in this company so much is because they are adding real value to the world right now. So some believe that quantum computing is a far way away, but this is where QBTS is so different, because with QBTS, what they do is annealing quantum versus gate model quantum. If you're not sure what that is, basically annealing has a lot more real world use in today. So they do a lot when it comes to analytics, and they work with a lot of big companies. Whereas with the gate model computers, which is what a lot of these other quantum computing stocks do, those gate model computers are more in the stages of research and development, where annealing is with us more today. And so that is the reason why I believe that this is the strongest quantum computing stock out there. And recently, this stock had that massive jump up. So we broke through that major level of resistance, but since D-Wave Quantum reached all the way up really close to $20, there has been a bit of a retraction. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a little bit more selling off in D-Wave Quantum, but I believe that we will just return to what was previously that rising level of resistance, because as we could see, as of recently, we did get a bit overvalued on the RSI, but we are coming down a bit there. And then also on the MACD, it does look that the blue is coming down a bit, showing that there could be a little bit of some negative price movements coming ahead, or just some more realistic price movements. It looks like the big surge that we have seen as of most recently is coming to an end. So I could possibly see QBTS reaching back to this rising level of resistance right around $12 or so. I can maybe see D-Wave getting to 11, maybe the 10s, but I don't really see D-Wave reaching back to these levels it was previously at. So on a bull case, because I believe that macroeconomic trends will stay positive in the market, I do see us staying in the double-digit range for QBTS. On a ultimate bear case scenario, at worst, we could see ourselves return back right to around $8 in D-Wave, but that would take a lot for that to happen. That would take macroeconomic trends to get worse, or just to see a big sell-off in quantum. Not that a cool down isn't possible. We've seen some big retractions in quantum in the past, so there is the possibility that we see it again. There is the possibility that we do come down 50% from the current uptick, especially with how high we are rated on the RSI and the MACD. But that is just overall technicals, because when I look at D-Wave Quantum as an overall stock, as an overall company, this company is only continuing to grow in value, and they have already gotten through a lot of their research and development stages. So myself, I still do hold a good position on D-Wave Quantum, and I am very bullish on this stock over the long term. I did sell a lot of my options contracts right around this level here, so if D-Wave were to sell back down to being in the single digit range, I would consider that to be a steal, and I would buy a lot more leaps for the future in QBTS. And so very bullish on that quantum computing stock. And so talking about these AI stocks, the next one that we're going to get into here is with Soundhound AI. And so Soundhound saw a bit of a sell-off here today. Soundhound back down to $10.12, losing 3% in value. But overall, when we do look at Soundhound, it does appear that we are on this rising level of support and resistance. So previously I had the support set here. Seems like we're coming back down a little bit here. So possibly a bit of a pop coming in Soundhound in the near term. As I've stated here, I did add to my position in Soundhound right here, and that is just because of this predictable trend that we are seeing with higher lows and higher highs. So each time Soundhound does reach this higher level of resistance, there has been a sell-off back to the support, which it does appear that we are tapping here if it rides around this level of support. When we look at the RSI and the MACD, it is a little unclear of what the direction will be from here. So I do have a very small position in Soundhound, but I am staying very bullish on Soundhound over the long term. And in the short term, this I haven't seen too much news about, but they did just announce this big news here. So this comes as of yesterday, and Soundhound continuing to add to their customer base. So them and Alina Health have launched an AI agent to redefine patient engagement. And so what this says here is that all answer calls within Alina's Health customers experience center and integrates directly with Alina Health's electronic medical record system, allowing it to instantly identify and authenticate callers. The AI agent allows patients to manage their appointments, and in the future, patients will be able to refill medications. And so pretty big for Soundhound, adding to their customer list, adding their sound technology to the healthcare sector. Very positive there. And in general, this company, Soundhound, continues to add to their customer base. As just years ago with Soundhound, we know that just one customer accounted for more than 90% of their revenue. Nowadays, not more than one customer accounts for more than 10%. So a very diversified customer base. And we could see here they work with a lot of different industries. So we could see industries here in the restaurant industry. We could see Jersey Mike's. We could see We could see White Castle. We know also last year they picked up the big deal with Torchy's Tacos. They also work with a lot of car manufacturers, Kia, Hyundai, Jeep, Honda, and they are also working with Square Technologies. So a lot of big customers there. And then we could see as of today, they are adding themselves more into the healthcare industry. So this company, a lot of customers here. And as we go further into the age of computers, technology, and AI, Soundhound is positioning themselves perfectly, because as a business owner, and I know many businesses feel this way, on the telephones, many times you could get tied up. And so if you have an automated system, just do it for you. It really does benefit, as it saves that business a lot of time, which would otherwise be on the time of an employee on the phone. And so with that being said, now we're going to visit the last stock here on this list, which is Big Bear AI. And so funny enough, my videos with Big Bear this week have aged like fine wine. If you check my videos earlier this week, I have basically called this trend perfectly. So with Big Bear, we have been on this rising level of support and resistance. We constantly reach higher highs, get rejected, and come back down to higher lows. And so just in yesterday's video, we were higher up here. We had that first red candlestick. I was saying I would not be surprised if we trailed back down to around 375 to 385, which is basically what happened. We came right back down to those levels right around 390, I believe. So just a couple cents above where I was saying, but we then did see a big pop. So right at $4.16. And so earlier in the day, the stock was rejected right around the $4.20 range. But overall, the stock did recover nicely. So just like the market, there was a bit of a sell-off. Like I say, got all the way up to around $4.30 actually before it had its sell-off to right underneath $4. Held strong at 4, now is at 416. And so overall, Big Bear is looking very strong, and the event that I want Big Bear holders to look at going into the weekend is think about this coming in to the trading week. Next week is on Monday. We do have the annual meeting of the stockholders. So on June 2nd, this is going to be a very important date for Big Bear. I am very curious to see what they are going to say here, if they are going to address the lawsuits that have been going on with the Big Bear. As we know, on Google, anytime we recently type in Big Bear, it just has millions of articles about lawsuits. But maybe we are getting through that. I typed in Big Bear before this video, and we could actually see the first couple articles here. The first 4 articles here, first 5 articles here are not actually about the lawsuit. Right under that, there is the lawsuit, though. So they are still prevalent there. But Big Bear does look like it is getting through the lawsuit. And overall, investors are looking confident. And also, what I do like about Big Bear is not only are we building on this trend here, but when we look at the RSI and the MACD, we also could see, unlike a lot of stocks in the market as of most recently, Big Bear is one of those plays that actually did not reach into the overbought range. So we never did get 2 levels of being overbought on the RSI. And then overall, when we look at the MACD, it does show that we should continue to see growth there. So those are just my plays for the day, all tech and computer and AI related. And so as always, I thank you all for coming to my daily talk of stock. I would be curious to hear what everyone else thinks about these stocks down in the section below. If you're bullish or bearish on SMCI, if you're bullish or bearish on Quantum, Big Bear AI, or Soundhound AI. And also, if there are any tickers that you want me to talk about, please drop a comment about that in the section below. I got the idea of SMCI actually because one of my friends had texted me about SMCI, and yesterday I got the suggestion of Joby because a subscriber had reached out to me via email. So I always do love talking about different stocks and giving my analysis. So if there's anything you want me to cover, please drop that in the comment section below, as well as any opinions you have about the stocks that we talked about today. And as always, please leave a like and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I thank you guys all so much for being here. Everybody, you have a great weekend, and I will see you in June.